once you got all of this material together, who decided? Because I know the sequence doesn't go A B C D E F. Who picked the sequence? How did that come about?
Willie picked the sequence. He got all the tapes were originally mastered by from source, from the original whatever it was, cassette tape or mini disc recorders or reel to reels by Don Godwin, and then he put it all on cassette tape and sent it over. Willie and I were living in Ireland by the time, and he sent it over here almost just for us to kind of hear what it was like, with the intention that he'd probably do something with, maybe remaster it all or something. Sadly, what happened was he was living in a space where we did a lot of the recordings as well. It was another warehouse space called Marla's House. One summer, everyone who lived there went away for a few weeks, and the place got broken into and everything got stolen. All his recording equipment, all the master tapes, all of his instruments and everything. But so what we were left with was these mastered cassettes that Willie then ended up remastering from cassettes, and then he just picked the order of the songs, not based in alphabetical order because they didn't quite go well that way. It does go ABC, but then after that things fit in order better.
And what about like you put it out on your own label? Like, do you want to talk about that a bit?
Sure. It was really the start of our own label. We'd never put anything out before, and we had this sitting with us for 4 years. It was recorded in 2002, and it was just something I really loved. It was something so a part of me and a part of what I had done, and the thought of getting it out there was so exciting. I mean, it just had so many amazing musicians on it who are in bands like in Practical Cockpit, which is on Load Records, and just professional musicians who play in orchestras, and just people who do all sorts of really amazing stuff. And finally we decided we would just put it out ourselves, and we'd never done anything like that before, and it ended up being the start of the label that Willie and I run, Stitchy Press.
And how was that album received?
It was great. We got 300 copies printed up, which isn't a whole lot, but for a band that's not, or for something that's not really a band and has no advertising, I think we may have 20 copies left at home now. It was really well supported by Road Records in Dublin, and they used to play it in the shop all the time because Dave, who ran Road at the time, really enjoyed the album, and anytime he'd play it, somebody would buy it. Whoever came in, they would just sell copies. And the cover attracts a lot of people as well. It's printed on cardboard. The cover picture itself is by a New Orleans artist named Myrtle von Domitz, and she painted this small little postcard-sized painting, which then I gave to two friends of ours who run a screen printing company, who then screen printed all the covers for us as well. So it's kind of an attractive packaging that brings a lot of people over to it when they see it on a shelf or at a stall. So yeah.
I'm going to play track E now. It's a very ghostly sort of album, and since that time, like, a lot has changed in New Orleans. Since Hurricane Katrina, what is there anything left of the New Orleans that you remember, that, like, where you recorded stuff?
I haven't been back myself to see, but when you talk to people who are still living there, one of the places that a lot of the songs were recorded. Noi Miasto, the warehouse, that was just completely demolished pretty much, which was a shame because right before the hurricane, the people who had lived there for about 6 years finally decided to buy the place. And so they bought it, and then the hurricane hit, and then they are sort of been trying to rebuild it since then, from what I understand, but it's not really inhabitable anymore. It seems like a lot of the people that were on the recording at the time don't live in the city anymore. A lot of them have moved on, which is great in a lot of ways. They've moved on to do things in other places and left the city now open for a lot of new musicians. It seems like there's a lot of young musicians playing sort of traditional New Orleans style jazz these days, and a lot more traditional music. When you talk to people about the city, they say it's definitely changed, and there's a lot of development that's happened. A lot of people have bought up areas that would have been places that had affordable rent, and they built condos there. So the rents have gone up, and the options for people to have this cheap rent and kind of spend more time being musicians and artists and less time working regular jobs, that option sort of isn't there as much.
Right. So do you want to talk about, like, since that time, like, obviously you're living in Ireland, do you want to talk about the time you've been here, like what you're doing since you've been living here?
Sure. Since moving to Ireland, I've never done anything like this recording since, but I would love to again get together with a group of people and try to do something similar. I've played in a few bands, but it's kind of been more standard kind of bands, something that band that gets together, writes songs, and then performs them. We've kept going with the label, and we've got 4 releases out now, and we've got a few more on the way. Nothing's ever been like the Ghastly Grimey Orchestra, but I don't think anything ever could be, because it was a time and a place, and it exists within that time and that place, and the musicians can never get together again and make it happen again. And
all right, well, thanks for talking to me, Natalia, and good luck with whatever you do in the future.
Thanks so much, Stephen.